mentioned earlier, this is our last class. So we've been with you all for 10 weeks. So first I want to say thank you. It's been such a pleasure to see everybody every week and your commitment to practice. And I know last time we talked, you all are practicing a little bit more and increasing the time at which you're sitting. So it's really great to hear about your experiences and your journey. And of course, today we'll do our regular session. We have a little bit of a summary that we'll go over, just to kind of touch upon kind of some key items that we've talked about throughout the 10 weeks. And then we'll end with our guided meditation again. And so we'll have some Q&A at the end. So if everybody wants to get comfortable, we'll go ahead and start off with our regular breath count meditation. So find a comfortable seated position, and just kind of relax your body. You can close your eyes. And you want to just keep your back upright and your head upright as well. And again, this is just focusing on your natural breath. No need to change anything. Just kind of breathe in, breathe out. And why don't you do just a quick scan head to toe, and just make sure you release any tension and relax any parts of your body that might be feeling a little tight. And then as you do this, as a reminder, we're going to breathe in and then out and count to 1. In and out and count to 2. And you're going to do this all the way up to 10 and back down to 1. And as always, if your mind starts to wander, just reset it back and start at 1. And always remember, sometimes you might be counting even though your mind's wandering. So just be mindful of that and start back at 1 and then see how far you can go. We'll go ahead and do this for about 3 minutes. So you'll hear silence and then we'll come back together. Right. You want to go ahead and open your eyes? All right, and just remember your count, and if you can remember 10 weeks ago to when we started this exercise, have you made any progress? Has it become a little easier? Maybe you get a little higher. Again, just reflecting back on how that journey has been in terms of counting. And there will always be tough days. The point is not to focus on those tough days, but over time, how are you trending? And hopefully it's in an upward direction in terms of how high you can go. So again, a great technique to practice anytime you have a moment or two, even just to recenter yourself. It's wonderful during the day. All right, so we'll continue. So just in terms of the summary, as I mentioned, we're on our last day. And so wanted to just really take some time to reflect back on some of the topics that we talked about. And of course, anytime you have questions on these, please let us know. So way back 10 weeks ago, in our first class, we really started talking about what our goal in life is, right? And so really being able to be happy, be peaceful, right? And we talked about how, a wandering mind can cause unhappiness. If you remember back to that time, Sunil shared a slide that said about 47% of the time our mind is wandering in our waking time. That's a lot of time, right? And so hopefully there has been some change in your lives over the last 10 weeks where you're a little bit more present in the moment, because when you function that way, again, you can find the happiness. Another aspect we talked about is really, what is mindfulness? What is meditation? What are some of those do's and don'ts of mindfulness meditation? And so, again, just reiterating what those are: mindfulness, being aware of our thoughts, our feelings, and our sensations. As you remember, we were really launching this course with you all about managing emotions, especially during really tough times that we've been going.
Update, slide update.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. And so how do we harness that? And then meditation is really the observations of these thoughts, feelings, and sensations, and being that independent observer. The whole concept of duality came into play, and we talked a little bit about that. And then we also talked about how mindfulness, it's not just a one thing and you check it off the list. It's really a discipline. It's a way of life, and it's a lifetime pursuit. We are constantly trying to better ourselves. We're constantly trying to be mindful in how we do things, how we meditate, how we live our lives. And so it's, there'll be ups and downs, but again, like I said, as long as you're going up and down and progressing up overall, it's a wonderful thing, and you'll feel the difference. The other piece around this that we talked about was morality, right? So when we think of mindfulness, we also think of being moral, right? And having wholesome thoughts, having wholesome words, deeds, and especially having those of not harming oneself or others, right? I'm sorry?
Slide update.
No, I don't. This is part of this one. And so really being able to engage in that concept in morality, and then having the wisdom, right? So the ability to differentiate between moral, immoral, and neutral, and the nature of your thoughts, and being able to act wisely on this. We talked a little bit about that. And so this is all encompassing in being mindful and living in a mindful way. And then we started to get into our emotions, right? Understanding that our emotions lead to specific sensations in specific areas within our body. And we can really be able to tell this by honing in and becoming aware and looking inside, and understanding how our mind and body work. And so again, the concept of duality, the doer and the observer, right? Becoming that observer of what's happening in our body, and becoming aware of those emotions that we're feeling and the sensations associated with those emotions. Because the more we can practice this in kind of meditation, the more we become aware of it. So when we're feeling them just in our day-to-day life, it becomes a little bit more apparent. And so then we started talking about a little bit more about the concept of duality, right? So when you're able to kind of separate yourself a little bit and be the observer of what's happening, you're able to just see that what we can talk about is that wave, right? You can kind of see the arising of the emotions, and you kind of ride that emotional wave without being overpowered by the emotions that you're feeling. And so really being able to look in and let it happen, knowing that there is a start and there is a middle and there's an end. It won't happen forever, and be able to run with that without reacting as it's happening. And then just kind of overall, the primary cause of unhappiness is never about the situation you're in, right? It's more about the thoughts that you have about that situation. And three skills that we talked about when it comes to this and being able to really hone in on the ability to not be overpowered by this is our cognitive strength, cognitive control, and cognitive endurance. And so just as a reminder, the strength is about our ability for our mind to handle different stressors that are being exerted upon it. So even when you think of when you're meditating, how you're inside, you're feeling all these stresses coming in, whether it's your mind wandering or maybe acute sensations. And then cognitive control is the ability for the mind to perfect that focused attention. So how can you continue to hone in and really see and feel those sensations? And then the last is endurance, the ability for the mind to apply the cognitive strength and control over long periods of time. How long can you go without your mind wandering, just as we were practicing in the breath count meditation, or maybe sitting for longer periods of time? And then really the importance of using your natural breath. And your natural breath acts as a barometer for your emotions. So the more in tune you are with how you naturally breathe, which a great place to do that is when you're sitting and meditating, you have a much better idea of when your emotions are starting to rise in your day-to-day activity, right? You can notice it sooner, you can recognize it, and you can hopefully let it come and go, or not react, but rather respond in a more wise way. That's really why our natural breath can be such a great thing to focus on. And then last week, we started introducing loving kindness, right? And so really being able to understand everyone's body and mind, right? In that it consists of what we inherited when we at inception, and then all the impressions and all the consumptions we've had since then. And so how do we allow ourselves to look at other people in this way, rather than labeling or judging or having these preconceived notions about the person, but rather recognizing that this is someone and mind and body, and this is what their experience is to date. And so this is all the stuff. I mean, there's a lot more, but this is definitely some of the highlights we've talked about over the last 10 weeks. And one area we'd like to really focus on and leave you with before we go into meditation is around mindful living, right? And so for the past 10 weeks, we've been really practicing these different techniques and introducing you to them, and really in a sitting meditation style. And what's nice about that is that in that scenario, we kind of limit the number of external stimuli that our senses are taking in. So you can truly focus internally with your own thoughts, your own sensations, and really be curious and become familiar with your own body and your mind and how it functions. And especially when you're starting off, limiting those sensory stimuli is really important so you can get familiar with this. And the more you practice, the more you build that skill of all those things we talked about in the previous slide. And then really, how can you start to translate what you've learned in your day-to-day activity, in your day-to-day interactions? Because once you start adding surroundings, other stimuli, other people, it can get more complicated and a lot more tough. And so this kind of transitions into mindful living, where how do you translate all those skills? And mindful living is really about doing the things mindfully. So being aware of your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings and sensations at all times. So you want to notice them, you want to understand them, and you want to use them to act wisely in your daily interactions with your surroundings and with other people in your life. And so as we think about the steps to this, really attention is the first one, right? First, you want to just be active noticing, paying attention to what's around you. And so, even after we're done, I'll just invite you to just walk around your house and truly just be in the moment and pay attention and see if you notice anything that maybe you didn't realize about your house. Maybe there's a wall that's empty that doesn't have a picture on it and it's been like that for forever. Maybe you have clutter somewhere in your house. Maybe it's clean and you've done a really great job at it. I don't know. But sometimes we just go about our day and walk through our house and not notice a lot of things. And so first and foremost, it's just paying attention. And then it goes into intention, right? And so the action, what's the commitment you're making to the action that you're going to do? What's that plan you're going to take? What's that timing you're going to do? Mindfulness allows us to do this. Really, how do we wake up every day in our lives and live intentionally? How do we take that reins? How do we live consciously as opposed to just going about our business, being swayed by the things that happen around us? And maybe that we're used to doing, like our habitual patterns. A great thing is, autopilot when you drive, right? You start one place and you end one place and you have no idea what happened in the middle. And so how do you, again, set that intention and that action to be more present? And then the third one is about your motivation. What's the reason for you to act? What inspires you? Motivation is one of those things where it can either help you or hurt you, right? And it all comes down to whether you've been able to identify what your true motivation is in the first place. And to do this, you really pay attention to your thoughts, feelings, and your body sensations and your intentions, really, to understand what that motivation is behind the act that you're doing. And I'll go through an example in just a little bit. And then finally, the wisdom, right? Cultivating the skills to have the right motivation, developing being able to have wholesome motivations. And to do this, again, it's awareness of your thoughts, your feelings, and your sensations. And sometimes it's you have maybe a motivation that is unwholesome, but how do you counter that to have a more wholesome motivation? And we'll talk a little bit about this. And this is where those skills come in, right? You develop your strength, your control, your endurance. And by building those skills, you'll able to kind of make changes on the fly as needed. And so, when we were thinking of this, of just an example to talk through, probably something everyone hopefully can associate with or resonate with is, so, you're in your house, you go to your kitchen, and there's a whole bunch of dishes in your sink, right? And, one of the things is first you have to become aware of the fact that there are dishes in your sink, and that the dishes need to be done, right? And so someone's got to do them. And so maybe you decide, you notice, so first you have the attention, you notice that the dishes need to be done. And maybe you have an intention of, okay, I'm going to go do the dishes now. Or maybe you have an intention of, oh, I'm not going to do the dishes, not right now. And you leave the kitchen, right? Or maybe you decide that you're going to start washing or loading the dishes for 3 minutes, see how much you can get done. And then you're going to kind of move on. You're going to at least start something, right? So again, just noticing what is the intention behind you seeing the dishes, that act that you're going to do. And then what you want to do is really look at the motivation for that intention, right? You want to investigate a little bit more around what is motivating whichever intention you have, what's motivating it, right? And so maybe for doing the dishes, a motivation could be, I don't like seeing the pile of dishes in the sink, so I'm going to do them. Or I like to have a clean kitchen. Or maybe I know that someone else in the house does it all the time, so I'm going to pitch in, and I'm going to take this time to do the dishes. So having a little compassion maybe for the other person. Or maybe you're motivated to do it because you might get something in return by doing the dishes if someone does it all the time, right? So again, just noticing what is that motivation behind it. And if your intention is to avoid doing the dishes, again, what's the motivation behind avoiding? Oh, I don't have time. I have other things to do right now. I know someone else will take care of it if you have multiple people in the household. Or, if I leave it there long enough, someone else will do it. And again, just recognizing what's that motivation, right? And at some point you might realize that maybe your motivation is unwholesome, right? So for the ones that, oh, I know someone else will take care of it, I'm not going to do it. Maybe then you decide to actually function on countering that motivation and, leveraging your cognitive strength that we talked about and really just deciding to do it. And so I think the point of this is, the intentionality of what you're trying to do, and really the root cause, and the inspiration of why you're doing it. And at this point, it's just to recognize it, right? And if you want to go into mindful living and really be able to do your daily practice, you kind of have to make a decision of what are those wholesome activities that you want to do, and have wholesome intentions and motivations behind them. And so that, I will pause now and then just say that's what we'd love to leave you with, is how do you take everything that you've practiced for these last 10 weeks and translate them into just your daily living, and be curious about why you're doing the things you're doing, or making the decisions to act the way that you are choosing to act. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to Sunil.
Any questions for before we go for meditation or no? Okay, so today, like last week, I also like to do the loving kindness. I think it is very useful practice because a lot of our stress is due to human relations. And of course, positive relations are always good, but negative emotions are the really hard ones, whether it's at work, at home, in the society, community. Those are hard ones to manage because they don't go away easily. So this practice is really helpful. Immediately, you might not feel it, but if you do it for a few days on a person, you will see the results. So for that reason, I like to do it also today. And body scan, I think in the survey, a lot of you kind of seems that other options are better. One thing I like to remind is that body scan for sleeping, which we didn't cover. So if you do body scan when you are lying down and about to go to sleep, it's a good way to go to sleep, into a deeper sleep. And only different thing that you can do is as you're aware of the breath as you scan, and you breathe out and kind of feel your weight being transferred to the bed. Every breath, out breath, you transfer your weight to the bed. Your shoulders, your hips, or depending on how you're sleeping. You can try that body scan variation. So with that, I'll do a quick body scan and then go through the normal abdomen and then to the breathing and then end with loving kindness. So sit comfortably, sit preferably towards the forward of the chair with your back and neck upright. Relax your shoulders, your jaws, and all the muscles. Just let go. Check in with yourself. Make sure you're not holding any part of your body. You're totally relaxed. And just let go. Think of all the roles and responsibilities you have in your life, especially the last few days or so, and just renounce them. You are not going to think or entertain any thought relating to your roles and responsibilities. So you are totally independent and free to practice this meditation. And also set your intention, which is for your own benefit and benefit of everyone else around you. With that intention, take 3 deep breaths, inhaling completely and exhaling all the air out. And the last breath, hold your breath for about 10 seconds and let go. Now draw your attention to the right leg, the big toe. Try to feel it. Any sensation. If you don't feel, you can wiggle and feel the sense of touch, maybe pressure on the floor, and then move on to the next and the next. And then scan your soul, feel the pressure if you are resting your feet flat on the ground to the heel, the ankle area, maybe sense of cold, warmth, tingling, pressure, itching, anything. Just acknowledge, don't judge, and move on. And continue scanning all the way to the hip. When you get to the thighs, feel your hands probably resting on your thighs, feel the pressure, sense of touch. Now move to the left. Again, starting with the toe, big toe. Scan the toes, the heel to the ankle. Feel the touch of clothes to your knees, all the way to the hips. Feel your weight if you're sitting on the chair or wherever. Feel the pressure on the buttocks, feel the sensation. And then move to the back, move up slowly, and scan the lower abdomen. You may feel the abdomen rising and falling as you breathe. And slowly move up the torso. Feel any sensation. Think chest area, you can feel the sensation of touch, clothes you're wearing, all the way to the shoulders, right shoulder. And scan the arm all the way down to the fingertips. Feel the points of contact, sense of touch, and tingling kind of sensations maybe towards the tip of the fingers. Now pay your attention to the left shoulder. Again, relax, let it drop, and scan down the arm to the fingertips. Feel the back of the neck, move up to the top of the head. Scan the scalp area. You probably feel some tingling sensations, any kind of sensation you can feel. Move to the forehead, your eyes, relaxed, your facial muscles, and to your jaws. Let, let just drop your jaws and feel relaxing. Most of the time, our stress is can be felt in your jaws, tightness in your jaws. Now draw your attention to breathing at the nostrils. Again, your breath is natural. You are just the observer. Just observe the process, observe the breathing. You're observing at the tip of the nostrils. Feel any sensation due to inhale and exhale. Don't let your mind wander with the breath out of the body or with the breath into the body. Just keep awareness of the breath, of sensations due to breath. Now let's do the loving kindness in the interest of time. Think of yourself sitting in front of you in a chair. Visualize yourself. And we covered last week, your body is made of whatever you have consumed since inception, including whatever you inherited. And your mind is all the impressions again since inception. And you look at yourself as mind and body and say, let me be well, happy, and peaceful. Extend loving kindness to yourself. Now think of a loved one sitting in that chair. Again, visualize the person. Think of that person's mind and body being the same as yourself. Whatever they consumed as the body, all the impressions as the mind, and it's another different person. And their behavior is purely determined by their mind and body, and it's different from you. And again, wish, let the person be well, happy, and peaceful. Genuinely feel what you are thinking. Well, happy, and peaceful. Visualize the person being peaceful, happy, and well. Just go straight to a person that you don't like, you have conflict with, and cause emotions and anger within you. Imagine that person sitting in front of you on the chair. Visualize closely, look at the face, and again imagine that that person also is made of a body, all the food the person consumes since inception, and all the impressions since inception, and whatever they inherited at inception. And the person is different, and the person's behavior is governed by those conditions, and the person doesn't know any better. So whatever the reasons the person has has upset you, whatever the person did, said, is because the person is different, and that's the way the person is behaving. So again, think of the person to be well, happy, and peaceful. Extend your wishes genuinely. It may be hard, but wish the person to be better. Visualize the person being happy and well. And visualize the person being happy, that you are wishing the person to be well, happy, and peaceful. Acknowledge the difference, acknowledge each of us, yourself, the other person, thinking and behaving the way they are, and not the way you want the other person to be. So with the thought of forgiveness, Just extend loving kindness, well, happy, and peaceful. With that, gently open your eyes. Okay. Took a little longer, but you're open to questions, comments, experience, and
I just
everybody's muted.
guys,
Sandy.
it's been very brought me a lot of peace, and I've been able to relax better during these exciting holiday days. And I've been able to take time during the excitement in the evening when I need a second breath to do my other jobs in the evening. I take about 10 minutes, 12 minutes of my time and just pay attention to my breathing, you know, sort of think about the things that you've shared with us and go inside, and it gives me energy for the rest of the evening. And so I thank you for helping me to do that better.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you, Sunil and Nulishka. It's been very helpful. Yeah, I'd also like to thank you. It's been, let's see, it's been really helpful for me. The days that I don't do it, by the end of the day, I feel an absence. So, it's really helped me focus more and manage my emotions a little bit better. So I really look forward to it. This loving kindness has been quite difficult. I tried it without your help, and even with your help, it's hard to not slip back into the negative thoughts about that person. So I'll just have to work on it to get better.
Yeah, if you practice every day, I think you should feel that it's getting better and better. You're doing it mainly for first your own benefit, for peace of mind for yourself.
Yeah.
And obviously, relationship should, if you meet the person again, you will not have animosity as you would have before. So
yeah,
it helps you.
Yeah, no, but overall, I really enjoyed the class. Thank you both so much for guiding me through this.
I think Beth and I wanted to also thank you, Sunil and Nilushka. It's just a remarkable experience to take the time and focus on ourselves and this wonderful life that we have, but not let these other distractions interfere with the appreciation of that. So thank you very much. We've really enjoyed the sessions.
Yeah, and it's amazing how you allowed us not to be in the roles that we play, whether it's mother, sister, neighbor, friend, and just to take time for ourselves. It's a real gift. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think you introduced some concepts that we don't have time to think about, and it allowed us a minute for some new ideas that we really, common sense things that we just get too busy to think about and think about positively. And that's been really good for me. And that review, Nanushka, tonight was really good. Thank you.
Yes, the summary tonight was very good. Yes. Thank you, Sunil and Nilushka. I have learned a lot, especially on that loving and kindness. I practiced and it really helped.
Good.
Yeah, it really helped. Yeah, I used that tools and then used it every day, which has really helped. It's like, let it go, let it go.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I like to be, to remember to be mindful as you've taught us, instead of having my mind full of so many things all of the time.
Yeah, mindful is emptying the mind, right?
I think I just want to express my gratitude for all of you. It has been really wonderful to have this nice kind of small group of folks that we've been going on this journey for 10 weeks and hearing about how it's going. And it gets me very excited to see the practice you guys have put into place, and really for your own benefit. And I'm excited to see that you're going to continue it on, and maybe we'll do some of this again in the new year. I don't know, but
Mhm.
I just want to say thank you. It's been wonderful being with this group.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think as Nirushka summarized, so I think only thing I can say is that, please keep practicing. And if you have any questions, any issues or anything that comes up as you practice, you probably will experience different things. Feel free to email anytime, any day, weeks, months from now or years from now, whatever, as long as you practice. Whatever we can help with, we'll be happy to help. So keep that in mind. With that, yeah, it's a great group. I think I'm very happy that you've been practicing and benefiting from it. And more you practice, more benefit you will feel. So with that, we'd like to wish you all, yeah,
Happy holidays.
happy holidays. And
Yeah, happy holidays. Stay safe and well.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Guys, yeah,
Take
everybody
care.
take care of yourself and enjoy your family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Stay safe. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.